Welcome back to Power of Two, Power of Many, a place where we go beyond small talk. Today's episode, it's all about the upper force of relations. And it is about literature, life, and certainly brings some insights that can inspire many leaders. Today's guest is coming all the way from Curaçao. He has a lot of experience as a sociologist, but he's more than that. In my opinion, he is a human living treasure. He has done many things in life, from lecturing, fostering democracy, writing on literature, philosophy, and much, much more. While doing all this, he learned a lot about international and human dynamics. Welcome, Brede.
Thank you, Valentina.
If this were a movie, what scene would you start with?
If it is a movie,
Yes.
I guess I would like to start from the end. When the movie ends, I may enter. I'm always late, you see.
Really? What do you mean by that? Late for what?
That's a good question. Well, things are happening, and I'm thinking what is happening. And finally, I make up my mind and I say something. Everybody's looking at me. Oh, well, why are you entering so late? Why are you entering the discussion so late?
Anyway, that hasn't stopped you to have something to say in the sociology world. What made you so curious about the international human dynamics?
My father is from a Norwegian family. My mother is from a Jewish family. I was born in Holland, in Den Helder, where the Navy is located in Holland, close to the sea. And I moved to Curaçao when I was 12 years old. My father got a job there, Curaçao, the Caribbean, a totally different world. So, in a way, I was brought up in different worlds, in different cultures. And that has made me interested in understanding the dynamics between cultures and between countries and between people from speaking different languages or coming from different religious and cultural backgrounds. I started studying mathematics, but when I discovered that my future would be in the classroom as a teacher, I decided to quit and to change to sociology. And I understood why. Yes, sociology, I expected would help me to understand better the problems between cultures and nations and politics and so on and so forth.
I see. And what about your interest in literature?
Let me start with my early youth. My father's sister was a great aunt to me. And as from a very early age, she would tell me and my sister Norwegian fairy tales. So I was brought up with fairy tales. Later, many years later, I met Okri from Nigeria, and he is a famous writer. And I met him by accident in a bookshop in Amsterdam, and we were starting to discuss our past. And I asked him, "How did you become a writer?" And then he said, "Well, because I was brought up with fairy tales. The fairy tale is the foundation of literature." And yeah, it made him interested in literature. It has made me interested in literature, the fairy tales. I was slow to master the art of reading. I was, I think, 7 or 8 years old when I finally managed to read a book. And one of the books that impressed me a lot was Don Quixote. My mother gave me a youth copy of the book, and I found it very, very fascinating, the figure of Don Quixote. That was, I think, for me, the moment that I became interested in literature.
I remember you told me also about King Arthur, who really impressed you.
The King Arthur stories interested me very much. And my mother was afraid that I would become a sort of macho, interested in behaving himself like one of these knights of King Arthur. And that is why she gave me this book, this youth edition of Don Quixote, to heal me. But after reading Don Quixote, I forgot about King Arthur and the knights and all machismo around them. And I discovered that reality might be totally different as we imagine it to be, just like Don Quixote. And that was a moment that more or less my worldview collapsed. It was a big existential crisis in my life. And that's a long story how I managed to get out of it, but it was a very difficult period. I was 10 years old. Yes, just 10 years old.
Quite young. Quite young.
Yes, very young. Yes, yes.
And
But you can see how a book or even a fairy tale can have impact on your life. Literature can have an enormous impact on our lives.
And how many years did Don Quixote influence your life in an impactful way?
These are these experiences that will never leave you. I mean, it is there. His Cervantes, his view of the world, which is questioned by Don Quixote. He looks at it from a totally different point of view as our common sense point of view. And that is maybe also one of the reasons why I studied sociology, because it's about how do we view reality. Reality is always different from what we imagine it to be. That's why life is so extremely interesting, so extremely fascinating, and sometimes disappointing, because we expect certain things to happen in a certain way, and it doesn't happen at all. And everything appears to be completely and totally different. Life is full of surprises, which is one of the reasons why I like living.
Now, do you think that's enough motivation to keep yourself alive?
Definitely. But at first, yes, it caused a crisis in my life. I felt disoriented. I felt disappointed. I felt, what is life worth? Nothing. Everything is completely ridiculous. And then after years and years, when I was 16, my grandmother visited us in Curaçao and gave me a copy of Dostoevsky, Brothers Karamazov. And that was the second book that deeply impressed me and helped me to overcome the crisis I was still in.
I see. How did it do that?
Well, it is about four brothers, and these brothers represent a particular part or dimension of our life. It's a very good book to analyze your own inclinations, your own different types of personalities that are part or dimension of personality that is in our lives. So it helped me to understand myself better and to understand that there is an intellectual in me, that there is a religious dimension in my life, and that there is a dark side in my life, the illegal brother Smerjakov, and that there is this enthusiastic, vital type, Dmitri, in my life. It's all there. And the art of living is the art of combining it to work together and make sure that you do not suppress any of these dimensions of your personality, including the dark side. Psychologist Jung warned us again and again and again, everybody has a shadowy side. Don't hide it. Try to explore it. And that was one of the lessons of Dostoevsky.
I see. So, four more friends?
Four more friends. Yes, yes. Yes.
My curiosity, what's the best combination you've had of all these four elements in you?
It's all about working together with all four of them. You cannot deny any. You have to pay attention to all four dimensions in life, in all life situations. It is always there. But one of the things that I found very, very interesting in Dostoevsky is also the concept of forgiveness and reconciliation. And forgiveness has to do with thankfulness. There are certain things that go wrong with Dmitri, for instance. He was falsely accused of killing his father, murdering his father. But the book is also about the battle to forgive others and to be thankful for the life we are living so far. And I think thankfulness is the key to happiness. Without thankfulness, there cannot be any happiness.
Let me ask you quite a personal question. Did you forgive your father who didn't believe in you as an architect?
And that was quite a struggle and a conflict in my life. I have to say that if I would live again, I would definitely become an architect. Let me put it that way. But my life went differently. It followed a different course. And I've learned to be thankful for that and to accept that this is my life now. My father contributed to it. So I think I've forgiven him. Yes.
What surprises did the Caribbean world bring to you in terms of understanding more about human behavior in different cultures?
Well, the Caribbean is a hybrid society. You see elements of Indian, the old original Indian culture. You see the elements of the European culture that was brought here by the European colonists. Of course, there is the influence of African culture. And then there are all the modern day immigrants here from the United States, from Europe, from China, from Latin America. It is an enormous mixture here of cultures in the Caribbean. And sometimes they communicate well with one another, but mostly they do not communicate well. There are misunderstandings one after another. And there is the tendency for different cultures to isolate themselves from others. So it is, from a sociological point of view, it is an incredibly interesting society here. In Curaçao, it's everywhere a mixture. And the mixture, now what is developing from this mixture, I don't know. But you see, there are always surprising developments. And one of the things that I find very surprising is the field of literature, because it is an enormous source of literary creativity here in the Caribbean.
What book is representative for Caribbean literature?
Well, maybe one of the most well-known books is by Jean Rhys from Dominica, which is not Dominican Republic, but the island, the volcanic island of Dominica. Jean Rhys, I think, is one of the best English writers of the 20th century. She's not very well known until she wrote Wide Sargasso Sea. And I think that is an extremely interesting book to read. If you want to get to know the Caribbean culture, read Jean Rhys. It's all there. It's a short novel, only 120 pages or something like that. Extremely well written. And a novel that you will not ever forget in your life. I can mention many other authors. I wrote a book called Caribbean Literature. So there's something there.
Soon to be published in English.
Yes, you will see. Well, the book is called The Caribbean Enigma. Here you are again, the enigma. It is an enigma. Life is an enigma. This is about Caribbean literature, but Caribbean literature is symbolizing, representing human literature. And it is about the enigma of arrival and it's about the enigma of identity, and it's about the enigma of reality. These are the three themes in the book.
To understand yourself, it's important, you told me, to remember your first memory in life.
Yes, it is an idea suggested by an American psychologist, Willow. He's considered to be an existentialist psychologist. And yeah, his therapy or his psychological theory of man is based on this idea that we have memories, and important memories explain the way we develop as human beings. And his idea is that our very first memory we can remember, it is showing and revealing the main course of our life. My first memory was Weeping Willow. There was a canal, and these were huge willow trees, and the leaves and the branches were turned down to the water. And they appeared to be weeping, these trees. And these trees made an enormous impression on me. And later, when I asked myself, what is my earliest memory, I quickly understood my first memory is the memory of the weeping willow. Why did it stand out in my memory, this weeping willow? And I suggest to myself it is for two reasons. One, the willow is an example of vitality. It's a very vital tree. It grows quickly and high up, up in the direction of heaven, but it doesn't reach heaven. It goes down, it weeps because it is probably also aware of the tragic dimension of life. And I think that is very typical for me as well. On the one hand, I enjoy the vitality of everything, of life, of human beings, of myself. And on the other hand, there's always the other side, the tragic dimension. By the way, the Spanish author Miguel de Unamuno has written a marvelous book about the tragic sense of life in humans and societies. It's there, and it is symbolized in the willow tree, the weeping willow, so to speak.
I'm thinking now about the upper force of the willow in order then to go down and
You
to
have to
show
go
this.
up.
Yeah, up and down, up and down.
Up and down, yes.
Up and down, yeah.
It's a combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. We are talking about the upper force of relation and how this really influenced your life through characters like Don Quixote, Karamazov brothers. But related to this, you also told me a story about your swimming experience.
My swimming experience.
Your first swimming experience, yes.
I told you I was brought up close to the sea in a little fisherman's village. It was shortly after the Second World War. Holland was very poor. There was no swimming pool, no possibility of learning to swim. So we got swimming lessons at school on a chair. We had to learn the movements to make if you get into the water, how to swim and how to coordinate your movement when we were 6 years old. The teacher told us always, whenever in life you get into the water, don't forget the water is not your enemy. The water is your friend. It pushes you up. It always pushes you up. So don't be afraid of water. Make the movements and you will swim. I was maybe 8 years old and feeling courageous, which is very stupid at that age. So I jumped in the water close to the dike, in the deep of the North Sea, with some friends who were able to swim. But I could not swim. I'd never been in the water. But I remembered I went under and told myself, don't forget, the water is pushing me up. The teacher has told me. And I experienced it. The water did push me up, and I made the movements, and I was able to save myself. It was very difficult and a very horrible experience. I could have drowned easily, but it didn't happen. And I think that is an interesting experience. At least I consider that to be an interesting experience for life. Many things are happening, but the characteristic of life is that there are always forces to push you up so that you can breathe again, see the light by making the right moves with your arms and legs, coordinate well, and you will see you will reach the shore again.
One thing I am grateful for is that on your way was Romania. You came here and you brought so much contribution to my development as a human being and as a professional. Thank you very much for participating to this podcast. It's been an honor for me. And I'm looking forward to read the book and to have it published and to share it with my friends. Thank you all for watching. And from here, Power of Two, Power of Many, I'm telling you that we are coming back with different guests who are ready to share about what they love. Stay curious, start a conversation, and remember, we are here for you every month. See you soon.